Oh, and we're going to be meeting by the stage when we get there to do like a, I don't know, all the volunteers are meeting by the stage. Yeah, just try to get like good crowd shots, I guess.
Hi. How you doing?
How you doing? Good. How was nice meeting you?
Pray for more brain. We're going to be starting the march at 1:05 p.m. Get excited. 10 minutes to marching.
I'm not sure people down there really heard that.
Never been like good at it. You know, always like I'm the only guy doing it. It's like, oh, did you? I like the break. Woo! Yeah, that's better.
Good crowd.
They want to arrest you, I think. Yeah. Then I stuffed my pockets with stuff.
Oh, Grandma.
Allie.
Oh, I had to tell you. Yeah, on the Delaware Parkway.
1 minute to get everything set up.
Check us on Livestream.
We already passed.
Get it now. They were floating around quite close to us. And they're working. We're going to start in a few minutes. Politicians in the world and anybody that want evidence-based policy, we want to invest in education, we want to invest in our environment, and we want to protect the environment. Yeah, so this is our district. We organized in DC, but now there is over 600 cities around the world and just in the United States that are all marching. Today is a birthday, so we're also participating in that. Right now, I was actually the reason why a lot of people are marching is because they think it is
Kaden? Please stay here. Please.
This is also important because also locally has a lot of universities, a lot of biotech startups, and a lot of scientists, and a lot of them are funded by NIH and other things that come to academia that comes out of budget cuts. And if that happens, what happens to lose their jobs and scientists and find cures for diseases and just explore new technology and support that budget or not
Like, woo! We've got it in our hand.
They're in my purse.
Please get our voice behind
Tell him?
So at the end of the march, we're having a rally and like speakers, and we have separate shirts. Yep.
again in the meets and we just want to show people that scientific community time is here, and you can't have an opinion. That's actually going to be stop.
Helen J.
Yeah, so I think it feels awesome to be a part of something. All this circumstance around the world, not just the United States or March. It's a very large group of people, and it feels great to be a part of that. There are thousands of people marching for the same activity. It's important because as we move forward, just have better education in our schools of science so we can catch up with other countries. Stand up and show that we want that, and if politicians with this and gather together and show politicians that we want to vote for people and propose these policies, hopefully there are a lot of people.
Okay, thanks so much.
They're here. Yep. Kendall Simon's here.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they interviewed her before this guy.
What time is it? 1:02. Okay.
Great creation here. We got to take care of it.
That's right. This is it.
Hey everyone, we're now going to be marching at 1:10. It's so incredibly exciting that we still have so many people arriving. We can see them a few blocks away, so we're going to give them a few minutes to get here. We're going to start marching at 1:10. If you can't hear me, please, or if you know someone who can't hear me, please echo what I'm saying to the people behind you. Thank you. 1:10. We're marching at 1:10. 1:10.
You'll be a sign. Good job.
Nice. Good job. What is this? Great.
Can I get you guys signs on the live stream?
Sure.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Don't grab my sign out. It's on my leg sign. Okay, yeah, they're like, it's online, you know?
Judy.
So you have those,
Yeah, sure.
I just see it. I know.
His sun comes out.
I know. I took my gloves off.
Me too. I cannot get rid of this coat no matter how hard I try. It was damn negative because it still gets chilly.
Then again, I'd be spending all my time using the phone because I'm not the people. But if your phone dies, you use the batteries like, what do I do?
I'm like, oh.
I didn't expect this.
Oh, okay.
This is way
It's
over.
amazing.
It's great.
It's awesome.
Good. I always told a lot of my students, my class, teaching my
We're standing that way, straight like that way. We guys should yell at the same time.
Good. I think you were at a summit.
See all these people still coming.
I know, there's tons of people still coming. This is way more than I thought.
You guys did a wonderful job.
This is awesome. I don't know if the women's march, I didn't go to the women's march, but I wonder if we can like get as many people as they got. So your live stream, is anybody watching it?
We've had 12 people max so far. A lot of people have said like thank you, great, wish I could be there. We have a lot of like hearts and likes.
Okay. We could try to like show cool signs.
Yeah, I've been doing a couple of those. Yeah, I'll try to get a couple more.
Over here, by Allie, stand with her sign.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta take a picture of that one. Oh, fantastic
Hey,
to
Kruba,
see
how's it going?
student of mine here.
Yeah, I'm
And
part
you are
of
service here?
part of the committee.
Oh,
I help organize all this. Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
I'm going to take a picture.
Are you signing the live stream? Awesome, thank you.
Oh, yeah. The thing I really like about college is that, like, professors and high school.
All right, you sign, Rob. Part of the children are not there, so.
Like you are kids. 16 gigabytes. Simon, don't wander off.
Yeah, you gotta stay here, guys. Hey, Buffalo! Thank you for being here.
All right, science.
Golden mine too. Yep. Did you know Nathan, you can walk or you can get in the stroller. What do you want to do?
Well, guess what? We're not going to be managed, Mr. Trump. He doesn't realize it.
I'm on the right side.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. I was thinking.
And I didn't see it till afterward. That's one that I ever had was an email.
He had the kids. Oh, I didn't. But he wasn't going
I don't know, I've never seen like multiple, I've seen like single yeasts that then start to filament like crazy.
Oh, you should see some of the Pinterest pictures. They're kind of questions.
Jonathan! I should have watched my...
To
protest pushing.
So it really just seemed like,
Great sign.
Thank you.
Awesome sign. Love it.
Hey, how
How's
you
it going?
Have you seen the rest of the Damon people around?
Maria, Hugo, and Andrew took a shuttle. I saw Kruger walk by.
Yeah, we saw Karuba too. We were just looking to kind of. All right, well,
I talked to Gunther earlier. I know Dr. Young's going to be here.
all right, I'm gonna look for Hugo.
All right.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, Niagara Falls. Yep. So,
Yeah, and I just didn't get going.
How are you? So, we have to find a parking spot. Do you remember me? My name is Rick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I bet you guys are right.
You can't read it. Go to my website. You can find all.
Awesome.
Everybody head towards the stage.
Yeah, I was charged with setting up the stage and getting it all ready. Yeah, so, yeah. We had to improvise a little bit. Yeah, but it's alright.
They got really bottlenecked back there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like one from the one way to like a sidewalk and just halted everything.
This is a lot of people.
It's 1,000 plus at least. It was massive.
Good.
Where are you going to be? I'm trying to find the rest of the Yes, and it's so funny because like my
What's the flow rate on that side? It's gonna be hot.
Hey, hey! Whoa, whoa!
I heard you laughing. You were having fun.
Kind of moist over here.
You put the effort into that one. That's what's all.
Well, he's not flipping.
He doesn't flip,
right.
It's all money.
Yep, actually had to go pick up the ropes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you sounded good, Nora. You said like your hippie things on.
What person do they have?
Go there, Sophie. We're going around. You gotta go around. Come on.
Let's go around.
Science.
says something about sense.
You rolling? Well, she's gonna at least try to go use the restroom. Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Alright, tell Lindsay we see
Let's follow the mark.
A nice place where everybody's taken care of and nobody feels
Because when do you ever see women meeting by my home?
It wasn't well animated, but the lesson.
Smart selfie stick. Someone gave me
I'm in Philadelphia when I went to the convention and I can't find it. Well,
Mine died.
you're live on Environmental Coffee House. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
What's your name?
Josh.
Hi, Josh. You with anybody or are you just?
I'm just with the March for Science itself. I'm part of the organizing committee.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. As an organizer, we're going to thank you.
Yeah.
You did a fabulous job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Excellent. Give a thumbs up to Josh.
Hey, Josh, any idea how many people might be here?
We were anticipating 500. It looks like 1,000 plus right now.
Josh! You!
Everybody loves Josh, guys.
There's still at the bottleneck there. They started to split up. Actually, it's like they're taking both sides now, but there's so many people still like at the road.
Dude, we fucking did it, man. We did it.
Maybe 2,000. At least.
Is there any sound in that?
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, I'm gonna have to scream out to that.
All right.
Keep filling in the rally space, everybody! Expand out to the sides if you have to. We're really full, and that's a good thing.
Josh, can you stay here? And
I think, yeah, if we just like...
yeah,
There's still so many more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, please stay to the right of the tables and go down into the rally space. Thank you. I'm gonna.
Like, there's still so many people like at the bottleneck.
I know.
There.
We're gonna have to switch the path. Okay, we're gonna switch the path.
Good. I'm one of the organizers.
Really?
They're made by a
technology is in demand. So, and also the public. Can you hear me better now? Also the public fund science. We all pay taxes. That money goes to fund the NIH and the EPA, and we want them to continue to use our money to fund those things.
Yeah!
So I think that us congregating in this large group shows the world, it shows politicians, it shows the people that we vote for that you need to support science, you need to support the EPA, the environment, and fund education. We are the voters, listen to us. Thank you guys for all coming out, and stay active, be heard. Don't just let this march be one day of something. Keep spreading your opinion everywhere. Keep educating people. Have discussions. And make sure that you vote for people who support what we want. Fund the EPA, fund education, fund science. Let's cure diseases. Let's fix the world. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Allie. I'm pleased to announce that Cantor Penny Myers is able to join us from our religious communities to discuss community involvement in STEM. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Wow, this is loud. Okay, I see a lot of my people out there, so I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom Barach. So I am not a scientist. I don't pretend that I'm a scientist. I am married to a neurologist, so by default, I'm the honorary token scientist today. So in Judaism, I just want to talk a little bit about faith. We don't believe that science and Judaism are mutually exclusive, but rather they're very much the same. Judaism believes in science and in creation and nature and human rights and dignity and opportunities for all, both men and women, gay and straight, Jewish and not Jewish, that everybody should have the same opportunities. And as Jews, we have blessings for every moment of every occurrence. even for scientific discoveries. We have blessings when we see lightning. Even some of the most famous scientists in the world were Jewish. Einstein in particular. A little crazy hair, but that's okay. But the point is that because we have blessings, it means that we recognize and we see and value what our science, our environment, nature, and creation are not just written down by the hand of God, but are nurtured by all of us, and so we have to be a foundation of support for that. Judaism teaches us, actually encourages and forces us to question. We don't take the Torah, which is the first 5 books of Moses, part of the Old Testament. We don't take the Torah as literal and word for word. We live in the rabbinic era, so to speak. And so we are taught and encouraged to question, to dig deeper, to not take things as face value, but to answer to ourselves, to answer to each other. And it is imperative and our obligation to question things when we see things are wrong. So I want to leave you with a little bit of a blessing, since you're all a blessing here today on this balmy April afternoon. And for all of those, I want to say again, Shabbat Shalom, and we were just completed a holy season. It is so important that every time we experience a first, whether it's the first time you're here today, whether it's the first time that you feel your voice is finally heard, whether your sign was, you made your sign and you're here in health, or even if you're here not in health, there is a blessing of thanksgiving that is actually relegated to creation. We have blessings all the time. And so I want to leave you with this. It's our Shehechianu prayer, and I will provide a very loose translation of the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has kept us alive through science, who sustains us through STEM and our next generation, and allows us to reach this time for us and our voices to be heard. Let us say Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much.
I'd next like to introduce you to the Commissioner of the Erie County Department of Health, Dr. Gail Bernstein. Give it up.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks to everybody for coming out. So my name is Gail Bernstein, and I am a scientist. Let's give a shout out for science. So why is science so important to us? Science is so important to us because truth is liberating. Science is liberating. And why is it liberating? Because science, we can literally reach out and touch the stars. If we didn't have science, we would not be going there. And as a public health professional, I know that science has protected us from deadly infectious diseases through vaccines. And we know that vaccines are safe, and we know that vaccines, we don't have to worry about these crazy complications that are not true from vaccines like autism. Vaccines are safe. Also, science has empowered us to treat other infectious diseases. Actually, my great-uncle died of scarlet fever. That's a strep throat. And I know most of you have had strep throats, and you bounced back and resumed your regular routine probably 2 days after you started antibiotics. But strep throat was once deadly, so we've come a long way through science. So science has also empowered us to understand our challenges with climate change. We understand the causes, and we also understand what we have to do to fix it. So let's think about that for science. So although we've made a lot of progress, we always have to be on guard. So throughout history, science and truth has been challenged by bodies that really want to take power over us by instilling fear. So going back in history, I mean, we can start out with Galileo. I mean, he was actually put under house arrest and he was forced to recant his theory about heliocentric solar system. And then even in our own country, with the Scope monkey trials, John Thomas Scope was accused of unlawfully teaching evolution in public school. So even today, we are still being challenged by the threat of people wanting to intimidate us, intimidate science by through taking power. So first of all, I think we all know that the ability for a woman to choose to safely delay pregnancy until she is ready is being threatened by the federal government. And even in Amherst, the ability for doctors to offer safe medication-assisted treatment to treat our deadly opioid epidemic is also being threatened by the Amherst Tarn Board. They want to pass regulations to prohibit new clinics from opening up, or even private doctors to be able to treat their patients for opioid addiction. So again, this is evidence-based, scientific, and we have to fight that battle. So now we have all congregated here today to scream out to the world that science is truth, science is real, and that science will stick. So thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, feel free to come closer up to the stage. We heard some people in the back could not hear, and we want to make sure everyone is able to get their money's worth today. So, thank you. Our next speaker is a teacher from the Buffalo Public School System, and she's really excited to talk to you today about accessibility in STEM education.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gina Okusick. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I have been a science teacher at Bennett High School for over 12 years. I am passionate about speaking up for STEM education, not only as a teacher, but as a parent of 2 children with unique learning styles and 1 child with a learning disability. For the past 3 years, I have been the coordinating teacher for Bennett High School for the University of Buffalo Interdisciplinary Science Engineering Partnership, known as the ISEP program. This program is geared toward providing teachers and students with opportunities to explore research and professional development in STEM. The National Science Foundation grant brings undergraduate and graduate students into the classroom to engage our students and to encourage the pursuit of STEM careers. Funding for the National Science Foundation is currently under threat. In order to meet the needs to be one of the world's most innovative countries, we need to bring about citizens that can rise up to meet those complex challenges. For science inquiry and thinking outside of the norm starts with fresh minds. These fresh minds are not found in universities. They are not found in high schools or even middle schools. They are found in our lower elementary grades when students are first beginning their quest for knowledge. STEM education takes the struggling student, the non-English speaking student, the special needs student, and allows them to inquire about the world as they are learning to see it. Hands-on STEM teaching benefits students of all abilities as opposed to the traditional lecture-style classroom. These students flourish because they are experiencing it first instead of hearing it first. STEM education fosters free thinking and open inquiry that can engage any student to love STEM fields. When a student finds that love, finds that force that draws them to keep thinking, to to keep asking questions. The evolution of the free thinker and future leader of tomorrow has begun. The evidence support that schools that integrate STEM education into their curriculum at early grade levels have tremendous growth in learning across all subject areas. In order to provide teachers and students with STEM-enriched activities, lab experience, and professional development, funding needs to be provided from all levels of government. The Department of Education stands to lose almost 15% of its budget if we do not speak out. When you think of today, remember this quote from Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And remember why we need to defend funding for STEM education in Western New York.
Thank you so much, Gina. Next we have Dr. Liesl Folks, the Dean of the UB School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Hello, everybody. What an awesome crowd. Well done. I am so proud of everybody for coming out today for science. My name is Liesl Folks. I have the great pleasure to serve as the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at the University at Buffalo. Like so many students at UB, I was first in my family to go to college, and I know from first-hand experience what training in critical thought and analytical reasoning can do to allow me to navigate the world. What I need is support to make sure that everybody gets that opportunity. Everybody in Western New York, every child gets the opportunity to develop those skills so they can navigate the world around us. For me, as an educator, these are frightening times. Many of the institutions, government institutions that we treasure because they support and inform science education are at risk. Their budgets are severely threatened. And we can start local. We can start with the Great Lakes, especially the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. Here for 4.5 years. I have not seen at first hand the transformation in those lakes that the people around me, you, have seen. But I know, I've read the science. I know that our lakes used to be on death's door, and it's science that saved those lakes. Let's be really clear. But the work that's been done here locally to improve our lives has not been done in isolation. That work was informed by work that was done at NOAA, at NASA, at the EPA, at the NSF, at the NIH, at every one of those amazing organizations that make science real and applied and useful to all of us in changing the course of our lives. There is no more important time to have a voice to defend the science that is done in those organizations, because it comes home to roost right here in our lives, in our backyard. Every one of those organizations is critical to us solving the biggest societal problems we have. And we need your support to make sure that funding is not cut to those programs and organizations. This is absolutely critical to the next generation's prospects for success, for happy, healthy lives. Thank you very much for coming out today. Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Joseph Gardella, a SUNY Distinguished Chemistry Professor, who will be talking to us about the role research plays in our policymaking.
Hi, everyone. This is a great afternoon, isn't it? I want to thank the organizers for inviting me, particularly the wonderful Ali Trujillo, and inviting me to speak here this afternoon. I thought I'd start paraphrasing Neil deGrasse Tyson. He released a 4-minute video earlier this week. You've probably seen it. It's all over Facebook and Twitter. And I thought we should celebrate and, quoting him, recognize what science is and allow it to be what it can and should be in the service of civilization. I think Dr. Tyson, as a celebrated research astrophysicist, is probably the best spokesperson for science we have right now. I think we should. So a little bit about myself. I've had a day job at UB for the last 35 years as a chemistry professor. And for about the last 22 years, I've worked a second job, according to my wife, often nights and weekends, working on translating my work and that of my students in research and teaching to confront environmental impacts in Western New York, across the U.S. and world. And over the last dozen years, I've had the great luck to work with teachers like Gino Akusic, you heard from, in translating innovations in STEM education in the Buffalo Public Schools. The organizers asked me to talk about scientific research and how it guides policy. So the first thing I should say is, as a public employee, I'm grateful for the support of the taxpayers from New York who pay my salary, and the people of the entire United States who provide support from government agencies for research and teaching. And you heard a great list from Dean Folks of those. I'm very grateful for having that support over my entire career. But what's most important to me, beyond the research accomplishments, are the support of students, thousands of undergraduates who've worked on projects over my career, and 60 or so PhD students. Some of them are here. And we can't keep that kind of education going in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics without the support of government funding to support the innovations. I've tried, in trying to pick out one example of how research affects public policy, I just reflect on the kind of work I do in environmental work in the community. I want to say one thing about EPA and Western New York. A few years ago, a group of us tried to calculate over the last few years how much the EPA spent just in cleaning up emergency toxic problems. And over a course of a year, there was over $9 million on projects just in the city of Buffalo. So when the budget of the EPA is proposed to be cut by 30%, and thousands of employees of the EPA are going to be proposed to be laid off, we need to think about, even if you only care about this region, what that means for the health of our region. In my own work, I will say that the best example of how research has affected public policy is the development of geographic information as a way to visualize and understand the extent of pollution. I've found that when I work with people in the community, a map of where the pollution is a lot easier to understand than 500 pages of data tables. So how does that affect policy? The policy outcomes can be as simple as, how do you interpret that data and in order to get a decision on whether to clean up a contaminated site? Or how do you change the criteria in the long run to govern those decisions? in both regulations and the practice of industry and government agencies. And I have personally seen companies learn from the results of regulations about how to save money and make more profit while protecting the environment. So anybody who says, and you know who I'm talking about, who says that you can't balance those two things just hasn't been on the front lines to see it happen. Finally, I've given a lot of thought and have been reading a lot about what do we do to follow up on today. We have a lot of people in Washington, I think 500 or 600 of these marches, regional marches across the country. We can't leave it here. We can't leave it here. There was an article in Scientific American that was written to address what we're talking about. And what was really important, the title of the article was, "Who Are You Calling Anti-Science?" And what they did, let me quote a couple of lines. "Polling suggests that most Americans respect science and see it as a positive force in society. A 2015 Pew Research Center poll found that 79% of respondents say science has made life easier. 79% see the effects in healthcare, 61% in the quality of their food, and 62% in the environment. And even on vaccinations, one poll found that 79% of respondents believe scientists should play a role in creating policy, and 88% believe the benefits of vaccination outweigh the risks." So people believe that science is a good force in their lives. How do we help to improve their understanding as citizens of the topics we feel they misunderstand? So I have a real simple recommendation. About 20 years ago, when I began my work in the community, I was using a class of students to work with affected communities on environmental problems. And I realized, especially for science students, that working in public and speaking in public was something that they weren't necessarily comfortable with. So I came up with 6 rules of engagement. The third one was consult the community. You're there to listen to the community. I shortened that to as a lesson for me. It was one word. You're there to listen. So, and I'm really good at talking and not so good at listening, according to my mom. So we need to engage and listen to people first and foremost. We shouldn't assume and lecture to them about what science says, even if they disagree on things that we think is just crazy. You need to listen and understand their conclusions. Maybe we can help them to avoid the tendency we all have to be biased and favor reports that confirm our preconceived notions. But we must listen and communicate with our friends, our family, including in my family, and our community. So if we just take that as the most important step to work in small groups and listen to people who disagree with us and try to understand why. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gardella. That was a fantastic example, list of examples of why we need to be out here. So lastly, I'd like to introduce New York State Senator Chris Jacobs and U.S. Representative Brian Higgins to talk more about the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Congressman Higgins is here, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit more on the Great Lakes restoration. I really wanted to, I have some remarks that were prepared to talk about some of the investments that we made in this budget regarding STEM education and that I think are significant, that also why science and STEM is so important to the revitalization of our area. But I really want to say I'm here more for a personal reason and why I feel so strongly about what we're doing here. About My late father was a neurologist in Buffalo, and about 40 years ago, when he was practicing medicine, it became very apparent that one of the diseases that he treated over and over again, far more prevalent than many other areas, was multiple sclerosis. And he began a collaboration through his work as with UB. He collaborated with a researcher at Roswell Park that was trying to use a drug called interferon to combat cancer. As they talked more, it really wasn't having much of an impact on cancer, but my father said, you know, let me see if I can explore this in terms of combating multiple sclerosis. And he began to do some research on it and really thought that it had a chance to do something. And at that point in time, the national medical community, when he tried to get attention from NIH, they really did not think there was merit to it. And actually a group of foundations here locally came and local foundations funded the first blind research study on using interferon to combat multiple sclerosis. It had very, very significant findings. Subsequent to that was a major NIH study which showed that. And at this point in time, interferon is now the norm in treating multiple sclerosis. It's not a cure, but if it's caught early, it can stop further progression. Several years ago when I was county clerk, I was in one of my auto bureaus, and a person said, "Are you Dr. Jacob's son?" And the person stood up and said, "I'm standing because of the work that was done through Buffalo General, UB, and your father." So that is what science does in changing lives. Not just here, but all around the world. So I think what you're doing here is so very important. I look forward to working with you in my new role as a state senator, but I just wanted to let you know why I have seen personally how it has changed lives here and around the world. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, let me thank everybody who's here, who's advocating for Medicare for all. There is only one of two places that you can be in this debate. You're either with the insurance companies that screw people, or you're with good, hard-working Americans that every day play by the rules and want health insurance when they need it for them and their families. It is appropriate that we are here on Earth Day, and I'll tell you why. The very first Earth Day was April 22nd, 1970. And 20 million Americans got off their couches, went into their parks, went to their waterfronts, and they demanded that something change. They demanded that Congress and the President do something about it. The very next year, a Democratic Congress and a Republican Congress wrote into law the most progressive environmental legislation in the history of America, signed into law by a pro-business Republican president by the name of Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
Hang on. Hang on. They also created the Environmental Protection Agency. The Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act. William Ruckelshaus, who was the first EPA administrator under Nixon, said, "Was Nixon really a closet greenie?" He said, "No. People demanded it, and we had to change."
Yeah.
That's what your voices mean in this debate today. On the healthcare debate, I supported the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, call it what you will. supported that 7 years ago with an understanding that it wasn't a finish, it was a start. That for 100 years in this nation, Democrats and Republicans had tried to do health care reform with no success whatsoever. And we recognized that we had an obligation to people to give them back their dignity that had been taken from them from insurance companies. You remember before the Affordable Care Act, if you had a kid who was stuck with childhood cancer, an insurance company could deny you coverage for a pre-existing condition. You can't do that anymore. It's against the law. Prior to the enactment of the Affordable Care Act, 20 million less people in America had health insurance. Now they have it because of the Affordable Care Act. Now, my colleagues on the other side voted in the past 7 years to repeal in its entirety the Affordable Care Act. And then when they began to disassemble it, their constituents say, hey, wait a minute, I like the component parts of this bill. They went back to their communities, they got booed at town hall meetings, and they came back, and my Republican colleagues got steamrolled by themselves. Demand a change. There's a theme here. It's the empowerment of people. It's the empowerment of people that have the guts to come out of their comfort zones and get in these parks and protest. This is a very, very inspiring demonstration. This is a very, very inspiring moment. Finally. A long time ago, because of manufacturing and economic history that fueled this city's rise, we compromised something. Seriously compromised something, and it was called our environment. It was our lakes, it was our rivers, it was our land, and it was our air. The Environmental Protection Agency said back in 1970 that the Buffalo River was ecologically destroyed and biologically dead. They were pulling fish from the bottom of the Buffalo River that had tumors, frogs with ovaries, male frogs with ovaries, because of the toxicity, the damage, the biological integrity of that waterway. There are leading figures here today that 30 years ago, Linda Schneekloff is here, Margaret Wooster is here. These are individuals that started a plan in a fledgling organization called the Friends of the Buffalo River. Their responsibility was to clean up the river. They had to do a rap, and I'm not talking about music. It was a remedial action plan to clean up the destruction of that waterway. Since that time, with the help of the Environmental Protection Agency and the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, we have spent almost $100 million to remove 67,000 semi-truckloads of contaminated sediment from the bottom of the Buffalo River. And now, today, because of that effort, you see new housing and new parks along Buffalo's waterfront, including the river, and the same Environmental Protection Agency officials are now saying that the Buffalo River will be swimmable in the next 2 years, that the fish that are consumed there will be safe for human consumption in the next decade. Folks, my final message to you is, thank you for your vision. Thank you for your imagination. Thank you for your commitment to this issue and to this community and to our environment and the importance of science in informing elected officials of what our responsibility is, not only to our constituents today, but even more importantly, to all of those who will inherit this beautiful place tomorrow. Thank you for including me.
Thank you to all our generous speakers and to all of you who came out here today. This is truly an impressive testament to Buffalo's commitment to making Buffalo a better place. Our next event will be a discussion with Dr. Bernstein on HPV vaccination in Western New York on May 25th at 7 p.m. at the Center for Inquiry. Please take the time to learn about the variety of organizations that came out here today at our science festival at the tables at the back. T-shirts are for sale. Sign up for our email list. Get involved. And don't let today be the last time you speak out for science. There will also be a natural and historical tour of Delaware Park. So please enjoy the park. Please enjoy Buffalo. There's also the People's Climate March. Buffalo representation will be at Niagara Square next weekend. So definitely continue to speak out. Continue to be there for yourselves and everyone you care about here in Buffalo. Thank you. We really appreciate you being here today. And one last announcement. When you sign up on our email list, you are automatically entered in a raffle for free tickets to the planetarium. So, woo! Thank you. Thank you to the planetarium for announcing that. And we hope to see you at our next event. Thank you.